Are you depressed and are thinking about going travelling? Before you book your tickets, watch this. Hello my lovely libido leprechauns. How are you all today? I'm Layo the Leprechaun and I have a drug-induced psychosis. 3.5 years ago, I left Ireland to go travelling. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be telling you my story of before I went travelling. Having experienced anxiety, depression, addiction, leaving all of that behind to run away from all of my problems. The lessons I have learned from it and the advice I am giving you today if you're depressed and are thinking about going travelling. Because I know a lot of you want to run away from your problems, just like I did. I'm an expert in it. So here we go. By the way, people, I have upgraded to a new shirt and I am actually wearing shorts. Look at this. Yahoo! Hey, Macarena! Ooh. It's May 2017. Belfast. My life is falling apart around me. My childhood best friend has stopped talking to me. My friend groups are dissolving. All my relationships are breaking up. And I feel like it's the end of the world for me. At this point in my life, I was struggling a lot with anxiety, depression, and addiction. My addictions evolved around partying, drugs, and probably the most damaging of them all, porn. I was working long hours in a bank and I was spending even longer hours partying, having many of sleepless nights. My whole life before that, I had really struggled to achieve a relationship with a woman or girls, and I had just got with one of the hottest girls I'd ever got with in my life. I didn't realise this at the time, but because of my porn addiction, with this girl, the hottest girl I'd ever been with, lying in bed naked with her, I failed to get it up, to get an erection. And I had a panic attack in the bed. Unfortunately, this happened a couple of times and it left me questioning my sexuality, questioning my sanity, and questioning my life. Alongside all of this, I was raising money for a charity in Tanzania. We were raising money for schools over there, and I was preparing to climb the 7th highest mountain in the world, Kilimanjaro. The only preparation of which that I had done for Kilimanjaro was I stopped smoking cigarettes outside of nightclubs or partying. I would still smoke at parties. And I still smoked grass every day. Fast forwarding to June, I really felt my life crumbling around me, and it was day 1 of the techno festival AVA. I got kicked out of this festival because at the front of the crowd, I jumped onto the speakers at the Fatima Yamaha set and I attempted to crowd surf, and the bouncers shouted, "Yo, get him down!" They brought me down and I got kicked out of the festival. I went off to the after party. Leaving the after party, it's 7 AM, the sun has risen, and in Main Street Belfast, I see these 3 people on the road. They asked me, "Yo, can I have a cigarette, bro?" Actually, they said, "Can I have a fake, mate?" But that's for the international audience. I gave them a fake and smoked one with them, and we had a chat. They were coming down from their first acid trip, and we were sharing stories. They tell me that they live beside Cave Hill, Belfast's highest mountain, or highest hill, you could say. Yeah. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll go climb Cave Hill. I get the bus up to North Belfast with them. We go to the forest. We make a fucket. A fucket which is basically a homemade bong from a 2-litre bottle with tinfoil and no water. It's called a fucket because before hoofing it, you say, fuck it. They then go home, I say goodbye, and I go up to Cave Hill to climb this with no sleep after a festival. I'd never been to Cave Hill before, so I got lost on my way and I seen a massive hill and I thought, fuck it, that must be Cave Hill. So I jumped over a fence and climbed up the hill, and halfway up the hill I realised, fuck, this isn't Cave Hill. I got really annoyed at myself for this. I became really angry and critical of myself, calling myself a fucking idiot. And I have later found out that being so critical of yourself is damaging to your brain. So this probably did not help with my sense of feeling lost. I got to the top of the hill anyway, and I looked around me at the beauty of Belfast, and I just couldn't enjoy it. I felt so fucking lost. I felt miserable. I don't know what the fuck I was doing up Cave Hill. I don't know what the fuck I was doing with my life. And I cried. I picked up my phone and I rang the person I loved at the time. This person didn't know that I loved them because I never told her. And I rang her, she didn't answer. I texted her, she didn't answer. I became even more critical of myself. And then the phone went, and it was her, and I picked it up. And I don't really remember how the conversation went, but I remember it was quite short and simple. It was effective enough to give me the motivation to get down from the hill and go home. So, 9 AM, I got 2 buses home, got a quick shower, and then went back out again to party with no sleep. At the festival, everyone was like, yo Leo, did you climb Cave Hill this morning after going to the festival? What the fuck, that's so mad. And I just put a smile on my face and laughed it off as if everything was alright. Really though, that was one of the lowest moments of my life. I'd never felt so lost. A couple of days later, I went to Tanzania. I visited the schools that I raised money for, and I got to climb Kilimanjaro successfully, may I add. I got to the top, barely making it alive, may I add. I was throwing up, I was hallucinating, my thoughts stopped coming, and I felt like I was losing my mind. But that didn't matter because I made it to the top. And I did become very worried that my mind was going to be left at the top of Kilimanjaro because my thoughts stopped working. And I was visualizing dogs at the top of Kilimanjaro. It was bad. Thankfully, my thoughts did come back and I had a fucking amazing time. The rest of my trip in Tanzania, I went to see a safari, seeing lions and giraffes and zebras. I got to meet a Maasai tribe. I went off to Zanzibar then. I had a fucking amazing time seeing all sorts of turtles and swimming with cloudfish. Having the best food of my life. I then flew off to Amsterdam and I went to Awakenings Festival, the techno festival. I went on my own, may I add, because of the complications with these crumbling friendships of mine. And I had a fucking amazing time. I met some amazing people there that I can happily call my friends today. I then went to Rotterdam and met a girl who later became my girlfriend and then my ex. And then I went to Nice in Paris to meet my family. This was a fucking amazing trip, and I came home and it did not take me long to get back into the party scene. Late nights and long mornings and many bags of gear sniffed and joints smoked every day. And of course this quickly led back into a deep depression. I was amazed at how much crack and how good travelling in East Africa and Europe was that I was determined I fucking have to go travelling, man. I believed that running away from my problems was the best solution to my problems. I became obsessed with seeing these videos of people going to Thailand and going to full moon parties, and I thought, fuck, I've got to do this. So I went off to Thailand. My friends at first didn't believe that I was going to go to Southeast Asia, but I went. Spent 6 months in Southeast Asia and it was fucking phenomenal. I went off class A's, may I add, and it helped a lot. I then went to Australia, had a fucking fantastic time, and whenever I came home from Australia, the problems came back. The reason I had to come home from Australia early was I fucked up. I crashed a mountain bike. I fractured a bone in my neck. I ripped open my mouth and I got 3 discs out of place in my back. On top of all this, I then came home to all of the problems that I had ran away from, and they hit me like a fucking train. It wasn't long after this I got heavily back into smoking grass every day, became addicted to porn again. I struggled to get it up with girls again, which I did not have a problem with while I was travelling. And worst of all, I started to experience extreme delirious, delusional paranoia. A year after coming home from Australia, I heard voices for the first time and I developed psychosis. Because I've gone through all of this, I know that my psychosis was not a drug-induced psychosis. I know it was a full-blown psychosis. Drugs may have, been the click to get there, but behind the click there was the whole force of movement in the arm and the body and the mind. That's a bit of a deep analogy I just made up there, yeah. I hope you understand that. Wow. This leaves me to the lessons for you guys. From all those experiences of my life, I would not change a thing, honestly. I've had some amazing ups and I've had some crazy downs. It all balances out though, baby. Nah, but seriously, I did have some difficult times on the road, and if I had not have run away from my problems, those times on the road would not have been so difficult. So, if you are depressed and are thinking about going travelling, before you go running away, this is what I recommend for you. The problems that I came home to after travelling hit me like a train, and it took me to get psychosis to realise how to deal with these problems. So, what's the solution? Well, that's exactly it. Find the solution to your problems. All your problems right now. Grab a pen, grab a paper, write them down. Write them down one by one, list them off. Beside that, or underneath it, or to the left or on top. Too many decisions, I know. Just do it below. Find a solution to your problem. Find the solution and then act on it. You can brainstorm to see what is the best possible 3 solutions to go through. What's important is find a solution and do it. The quicker you do that solution, the quicker the problem gets fixed. Once you've done that, then write down the lesson you have learned from this problem and from this solution. Write down the lesson so that you do not make the same mistake again. I discovered this technique while I was deep in psychosis, and I believed it was a message from God. It was fucking amazing. 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 Solutions are spiritual. This is a quote from somebody I don't know. I'm going to try and find it out for you and write it down below. The quote is actually, all problems are psychological. All solutions are spiritual. And the quote is by MD Thomas Hora MD. It may be a bit difficult to find the solutions to your problems. First step is write them down. And it's going to be even more difficult to act out on these solutions. Whenever I did this practice, I found 13 problems and 13 solutions and 13 lessons. And it was fucking difficult to act on these solutions, but I was so grateful after I did it. And the 13 lessons means that I don't do it again. These lessons have become part of my principles within my life. What has really helped me in discovering these solutions and acting out on them is therapy. Find a counsellor or a psychologist or just a mental health practitioner. Find a professional. Find someone that you can relate to and find someone that understands you, because you need them to be able to relate to you or to understand you in order to build that connection. Building that connection, you can go deep inside yourself and you can face these problems with someone else, so you are not alone. Because you are not alone in having these problems. There's nearly 8 billion people in this world, and I'd say 1 billion have similar problems. Okay, I completely made that statistic up. But I had a lot of problems, and you have problems, and we've got problems, so we can fix these problems. Getting a counsellor has honestly been one of the best things to ever happen to me. It has been a fucking amazing tool in facing my problems and finding those solutions and learning from those lessons. So, if you're depressed and you want to go travelling, I recommend that number 1, you go off the drugs. Number 2, to face your problems, find those solutions. And number 3, see a counsellor. At the hill beside Cave Hill, one of the lowest peaks in my life, not only that I've felt, that also I've climbed. You know, it wasn't a very big mountain. If I had gotten a counsellor then, maybe today I would not be making this video for you. I know if I've had a counsellor before travelling, I would have been a lot stronger while travelling, and I wouldn't have had as many dark days as I did. So there's my 3 bits of advice for you if you're depressed and you're thinking about going travelling. If you are currently seeing a counsellor and you're currently on medication for depression, antipsychotics, whatever it is, and you want to go travelling, then I'm afraid I cannot relate to you, because I've always refused medication. Whether that's antipsychotics or depression medication, I've always refused it because I've never trusted pharmaceutical companies. You know, I would trust a shitty drug dealer before I would trust a billion-dollar company. Some people may question that. I'm not really in the best place to give you advice if you are in that situation. However, I have been with a woman before who was travelling. She had depression and she travelled with medication. She didn't have to take it every day, but when she was with me, she had some very, very low days where she was deeply depressed. And it was very tough for her to be on the road travelling. Personally, I would recommend to you still those 3 things, and maybe, now this is up to you, I'm not a professional so I can't properly give you this advice, but what I would do in that situation, I would treat it like any other addiction and go off it. That's my own personal choice though. Find that works for you. That leaves me with the question for you guys. Have you ever travelled with your medication? Whether that is your depression or antipsychotic medication. If you have, what was your experience like? Not only would I love to hear, but I'm sure a lot of other people could learn from your experience. So please write it down in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. As always, folks, thank you so much for listening. This is a really deep story for me. I really hope it does help at least one of you. Don't be afraid to message me if you are thinking about going travelling and are currently suffering from depression. I'm not a professional and I do recommend you follow those 3 tips of advice, which I'll go over for you again. No drugs, facing your problems, finding solutions, and seeing a counsellor. Thank you for listening, folks, and God bless.